Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm here. Okay. The Early Learning Board's mission is to support children's academic and lifelong well-being by directing and supporting the EOEL for an effective, coordinated, high-quality early learning system from prenatal to kindergarten entry.
Thank you, Steve. And as we keep the mission in mind, we also should keep in mind the families and children on Maui. And we'll talk a little bit later about some of the efforts you may wish to join in support of the Maui families following the disastrous fires that they've experienced in the past 2 days. The first item of business is to take attendance to ensure that we have a quorum. Justina is absent. Erin?
Here.
Thank you. Ka'ialani?
Aloha, I'm here.
Thank you. Megan?
I am here.
Ben?
I'm here.
May?
Here. Can you hear me?
May, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I am here. Napua is absent. Mari?
Yeah.
Carrie?
I'm here.
Thank you. Melody?
Aloha.
Thank you. We do have enough voting members for a quorum. The non-voting members, Dana? Anyone else here from DHS? All right, Rochelle.
Here.
Thank you. Steve, I know you're here. Thank you. And Matt Shim.
Here.
All right, thank you, everyone. The first item of business we have is to review and approve the minutes of the July 13th meeting, which were sent to you in advance of the meeting. I make a motion to approve those minutes as submitted. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? I have a question on the minutes, and Yuko, this may be a question for you, I'm not sure. It's on page 5. It's under the action column, the bold where it says Director Arakawa cross. Okay, let me know when you find it.
Page 5.
Yep, page 5. It's the bold on the right-hand column. It says Director Arikawa Cross will provide a link for board members. I'm guessing that it should say to comment on rule changes and not rule. Is that correct?
Yes, it's for rule
Okay.
changes, and so, yes.
Okay, and we need to amend the word role to rule. Is there any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote to approve the minutes with the recommended change on page 5 of the word role to rule. Erin?
Hi.
Hey, Ilani?
I.
Megan?
I.
Ben?
Aye.
May?
Hi.
I vote aye. Mari?
Hi.
Carrie?
I.
Melody?
I.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved with the change as recommended. Thank you, everyone. All right, we'll move to item 3, which is public comment. And the floor is open to any members of the public who would wish to comment on agenda items. And reminder that there's a 2-minute time limit per speaker. Is there any public comment? Anybody in the chat? All right, I see no one in the chat. So I'm assuming there's no one who wishes to make a public comment at this point. There will be another opportunity before the meeting ends. Item 4 on the agenda is the Executive Office and Early Learning Report, both updates and legislative proposals and requests related to the 2024 session. This will be an opportunity for us to hear from ELB about its thinking for the next session, and we will take action on this item at our September meeting. So I'll turn it over to Yuko to offer any updates that you have, and then you and your staff to move forward with the legislative portion.
Thank you. You'll share for us. Mike, can you put it into presentation mode just so it goes to this on the slide, is it on the right side or is this slide? Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everybody. Here's our topics of conversation for this month. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Well, one of the areas, of course, of focus of the early childhood education system is health, mental health, and nutrition. Next slide. And what we just really like to highlight, as Chair Peters had said before, is to echo with all of our Maui Ohana that we are with you and we are thinking of you, even though we may not be physically present in this space. Next slide. We also wanted to highlight that there are resources for people who may be having challenges as they navigate this current situation. And so there is help available, and here's a couple of options. Next slide. So we wanted to share our 2024 legislative thinking with you. Next slide. Next slide. And so EOEL is currently working with departments and stakeholders to gear up for the 24 session. We requested an extension to submit our request based on board approval after the next ELB meeting. So we'll be submitting our request to the governor for his review by mid-September. In our work with stakeholders and in alignment with our office's priorities, we developed 2 main requests and 2 related initiatives that do not require funding or legislative proposal. What you're seeing here reflects our current budget that was enacted by the governor on June 30, 2023. The fiscal year 24 funding reflects our overall budget to include 11 new classrooms that opened on August 7th and appropriations for the early childhood educator stipend program. The fiscal year 25 funding reflects the overall budget to include the increase for 44 more classrooms to open next school year. Next slide, please. Our first legislative request for board consideration falls under our priority to help families access and navigate early learning programs, as well as to support the recruitment and retention of the early learning workforce. We are requesting funds to establish a statewide navigator system that encompasses the public and private sector. And this request would involve multi-pronged approaches, which include strengthening families' knowledge of what early learning options exist currently, including public options, community-based options, and FCIL options, and assisting families in accessing these programs, to assist with increasing enrollment into public pre-K and other early learning programs, and to implement recruitment and retention strategies that will garner more interest in joining the early learning workforce while providing support to navigate the qualifications to work in the field, obtain the credentials and the coursework needed for career advancement, and linking individuals with employment opportunities in the field. This request also includes funds for a statewide media campaign that will aim to increase awareness of the importance of early learning and link families to existing programs and services. And we are anticipating that this request will be about $440,000. Next slide. Back one, please. Our next request is assisting with the expansion of early learning facilities and options for families. So the first request is to amend our pre-plus statute, chapter 302 L8, to expand pre-plus programs to operate on state property and to open it to all young children prior to kindergarten entry. So currently the statute indicates pre-plus programs can operate on DOE campuses, but opening up this opportunity to additional state property could provide more public-private opportunities. The second request would be to add one FTE position, a program specialist for, and I'm broadly calling it facilities management, but it would be responsible for things such as researching, purchasing, receipt, installation, inventory of all kinds of furniture and things that are in EOEL pre-K classrooms. Currently, our teachers are doing this, alleviating that burden from the pre-K team to allow them to focus more intentionally on applications and teacher and EA support, professional learning and classroom implementation. We can also utilize this position to assist with planning and designing different types of renovations and the construction that may ensue, the assisting of facilities with contracts, whether it's like on DOE campus or now potentially off campuses with tracking and implementation, to assist with securing facilities for training and professional learning sessions, to assist interested community-based providers in securing things such as road development, grants and loans, and liaise with other state and county partners and DPP as needed for the purpose of expanding pre-K options. Next slide. These next two slides are an overview of initiatives that our office will be undertaking with partners, and they are not legislative requests, but we wanted to share this work with the board as they relate to our priorities. So EOEL will continue to focus on expanding culture-based and Hawaiian medium early learning programs. And to do that, we will increase FCIL programs via additional contract opportunities with available funds. And we will also be convening partners to develop an implementation plan for Hawaiian medium public pre-K. So EOEL will be leading this effort and looking into contracting a facilitator with funds that we already have available. Next slide. Increasing quality and workforce supports has been a top priority for EOEL since our inception. So to continue this work, EOEL, we will be convening a work group to develop a continuous quality improvement implementation plan across the early learning sector in collaboration with UH and the Department of Human Services. Continuous quality improvement aims to improve a program's ability to deliver high quality early learning services and maximizes outcomes for children and families on an ongoing basis. And currently the state provides some support for quality improvement and enhancement. However, we do lack a coordinated CQI system that spans across the field and all settings that support programs and services where they're at. Next slide. So this slide provides an overview of our budget request if approved. The $507,000 includes the navigator system and the one FTE position. Next slide. So this slide demonstrates our current budget and what the proposed budget would look like should our request be approved. And next slide. And not just any questions, but any other comments or feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And then you can stop sharing for now.
Can you help those of us who are not familiar with the terminologies? For example, the categories of A, B, and N in the budget.
Yeah.
It would be helpful to have a better sense of what those reference.
Okay, perfect. So A can include personnel and some operating costs. B is the ceiling for our special fund, and N is the federal funds that fund the Head Start State Collaboration Director.
Okay,
Could I add
And-
to that?
Oh, yeah.
So A funds are general funds.
Oh, John.
Yeah, so any dollar amount that's under the A category is our budget that was dedicated through state general funds.
okay. That was a lot to take in. I'm not so sure people have got it all quite yet. It would help me, I know, if we could walk back through them one more time.
Sure,
And maybe stop after each one
Okay,
and
sure.
have an opportunity.
sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Ben has his hand raised.
Hmm?
Ben has his hand raised. So I
Oh,
thought you
I'm
wanna
sorry, Ben.
address that first.
Yeah, just a quick question about pre-plus UCO. So the amendment you guys are proposing, that would be to expand pre-plus onto other state properties, or is it to move the current state, the current pre-plus classrooms out of DOE sites to state property?
So that's a good question. So right now, when you look at EOEL statute, it says that pre-plus contracts can be held on DOE property for a very specific population. And the pre-plus, program was created a while back, and it came with dedicated buildings. And so right now, 17 of those buildings currently, there were 17 and now there are 14 of those buildings that currently exist that are one-to-one correlated with the pre-plus contract. But what we're looking at is if we could expand pre-plus contracts. So the name is the same, but it adds a little bit more to it, so that now we could also have pre-plus contracts off of DOE campuses on state property, and also open up the population that can be served. So not getting rid of anything that exists right now, but rather expanding it.
Okay, thank you. I was worried the 14 spaces that are being used, would they be moved to other locations so schools could, I'm glad that those 14 spaces will still be used on DOE campuses for pre-plus.
Yeah, absolutely. Mhm. Not trying to take away or change anything that exists right now, but rather to add. And we had
Thank
a conversation about, should we call it something else, not pre-plus, should we call it something else? And so if people have recommendations, if they want our name, that name of that type of a contract work to change, we can also do that, so there's no confusion. Or if it can help to facilitate it and not promote confusion, we're open and willing to do that too.
Carrie also has her hand raised.
Carrie, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Yuko. I was wondering if you could say a little bit more too around the budget related to staffing. I know EOEL has vacancies. And are you planning to fill all of those vacancies, or are you, I know there was one that was looking at professional development and quality. Are all of those positions still intact and part of the existing budget, or are you taking some of those positions back?
Thank you. That's a good question. So all of those positions we were able to save. And so we just went through a business manager interview process. We just finished that. So that is still rolling. Later on here, you're going to see that we made a selection on a communications specialist. We have the workforce specialist interviews coming up. And then, so essentially those are the main positions that already existed in EOEL that are vacant, that are in process to be filled right now. And then we are still working with Office of Talent Management to get those other positions up. They're switching to a new platform. And so we are navigating getting access to the platform so that we can actually post the positions.
Okay, great. So we haven't lost any positions. That's good.
No, and we have the intention of filling it all before the next session.
You go, I would be helpful, I think, to just, let's do each one more time
Yes.
quickly, so
Absolutely,
that we can put them up and let people,
sure,
if they don't have any questions, fine, but
yeah,
I want to be sure we get questions answered.
yeah, thank
Okay.
you. Kevin, can you pull those back up again, please? Well, all the way, I think it's about 10 slides, so.
Okay,
Right there, stop. Okay, so this is the second one. So this slide shows in A, so when you look at A, right now, we will have 133 positions. So those also include each of our teachers and educational assistants that are sent, the positions that are sent down to the school. And then when you look at across at 25 to 223, that includes the additional set of 44 teachers and EAs and like an office assistant, back please. Office assistant position that will become into our office, that's where that lies. And then you see the N, it has the one that is the Head Start collaboration director space. And then you can see the total on the bottom. So that's what this is what came out of this past ledge session.
okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
next slide. Oh, let me go back one. Sorry. So the 3 million, that's the ceiling that we requested for and received for our special fund.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
next slide. Okay, so this is the one where we're trying to look at a navigation system for families. So how do we help? It's like more like a whole navigating the whole system. So whether it's for families or educators or general public, how do we help people navigate the system, or even because we receive a lot of phone calls to our office, and there's a lot of different types of questions that we think that we can help people with. And we believe that, you know, a system navigator, a navigation system would be able to help people who are looking for all the various types of things that EOEL can help to coordinate or to access. So I know that there's a term that I think, you know, the no wrong doors or, you know, something like that, but we want to be able to, I guess, spend the time with people to fully be able to walk them through different types of things, because they call frequently. And so we just think that this might be something that we can add to our office to be able to help the entire system.
And my understanding is you've also gotten feedback that it's difficult to navigate these processes by
Yes,
families. So
absolutely.
there
Yes.
is a need out there.
And also from community partners.
Okay, thank you.
Next slide.
I just had a question about that, if you don't mind.
Okay,
I apologize. Hi. I was just curious to know how the navigator system aligns with the LG's effort, the Ready Keiki, or if it's one and the same. You know, she was mentioning that the state wanted to develop an information, so I think in collaboration with Patch, sort of resource center, if you will. It sounds similar to what you're talking about, but if it's different, I just want to understand how. Thanks.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that we created this because of the LG's effort. I think that what's really great for all of us is that early care and education has really rose in terms of importance, and it's on the radar of many people, and people are interested in learning either how can they be a part of it. They're looking for a space for something, or, you know, what have you. And so, yes, Patch does provide a great deal of service. Absolutely. I think though, that we also want to be able to help also navigate, you know, on the public side too. And also, aside from that too, is also how do we continue to promote this work so that there's, I guess, longevity. So I don't want to say that it would be taking over a Patch or that it's necessarily, it is indirectly, of course, related to all of the media that we have gotten now, and with the Ready Cake initiative, absolutely. But I think that for the Executive Office on Early Learning, we have to be able to accomplish certain kinds of things and be that resource that people are actually looking to us to be. And so that's kind of where this is coming from. Yeah, you can add something. Okay.
So at the heart of the conversations we've been having around this is to enhance existing systems. So we are aware that some of these pieces already exist, but we do want to make sure that we're enhancing in a way that cuts across all sectors, all settings, and that we're improving on and enhancing the systems that we already know exist. So we have been in communication with other partners, as Yuko mentioned, to identify gaps in existing services. And so the purpose of this, including the funding, is really to enhance. It's not to supplant. So all of the current initiatives, ideally, if we get the funding, should be embedded under this work in this effort.
And I assume you would ensure that there's no duplication of that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm. Any other questions about proposal 1?
Yeah, Bob, I have a quick question. Yuko, this is Carrie. On that note with the family navigators, we'd want to make sure that they are trained with AUW 211 and understand that process too. That's also where our CARES line is under as well. And what we've done on the Keiki Central site is there's a direct link to EOEL website, there's a direct link to Patch, and there's a direct link to CARES. And so the thing that's nice about AUW is that they do have the text support, the email support, and the call-in support with interpretation supports as well. So yeah, just to everybody's point, not to duplicate resources. And I really appreciate the high touch, literally sitting alongside families to help them. If that's needed, is more of that is great. Just recognizing, don't duplicate what's already there.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. And the Keiki Central folks have been very responsive and trying to update and, walk with EOEL through how do we want our information to be presented, and what is the difference between EOEL that operates on behalf of the whole system versus EOEL that implements the public pre-K program. And so they've been really excellent in listening to how we want our information to be specifically displayed. So, and they're very responsive too. So we do appreciate that.
Okay, I see that Melody has a comment.
I just wanted to say it would be great to also have a workforce navigation system.
Can you talk more about what like a couple of things that you think would be really great to ensure that happens? Because we will be hiring, we're trying to hire, well, hopefully, a workforce navigator, a workforce specialist. So if you could share a little bit more about what an ideal product or creation could look like.
Well, I think just a person coming in, a young person starting out school and having choices about what they want to do, possibly in education or early childhood education. They don't have an idea of how what kind of pathway that could look like. And so all the multiple pathways, I know we've talked a lot about it, and we've tried to do several different things, but having a family navigator system alongside a workforce navigation system is probably makes the whole idea of early childhood and early childhood programs a lot more, gives it a lot more understanding, I think.
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing that too. As you've been really trying to dig into workforce, and especially with our stipend program coming out, one of the big things is how do we connect all of these people with these new credentials or who are just entering the system to where the jobs are. And that's actually been a void that we have not been able to address yet. we can easily pull the data in the public and in the public systems, like whether it's charter or DOE. But on the private side, it's very hard to get that data set as to where we can direct people who are graduating or coming out with new credentials, or people who are coming out of high schools and things like that, as to where those job opportunities lie within the communities. But I totally agree with what you're saying, and it's really needed.
And Melody, that is embedded in number 2. So those are
Number 2.
also no, right here. on
Oh, this
slide.
too, oh, this
Yeah,
too,
so
okay.
number 2 right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Those are the exact internal conversations we've been having is, we also want the navigation system to include workforce navigation, both hitting recruitment and retention. So what you shared is embedded under number 2 of this strategy.
I think you can move. Thank you.
Oh, wait, so this is, oh, can you go back up? Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. Next one. So this is the facilities question that added, that Ben had spoken about 3+. So maybe that's something that the board can think about, whether we want to call it 3+ or not, if it's going to maybe have like a mixed message, or have maybe it has some kind of connotation. I'm not really quite sure. But we have gone back and forth on like what can we do about the 3+, but basically we want to be able to expand this possibility to include state property, not on a DOE campus, and also expand eligibility, because currently, again, the 3+ contracts as it's written are for DOE campuses, specifically certain structures, and that it must service a specific demographic. And so what we're trying to do is how can we expand that opportunity beyond DOE campuses. And then when we're looking at that FTE program specialist, so I think it's because I've been doing like a lot of facility work, and when I look at how much, like just one very simple basic thing is that when you look at furniture ordering, like our early learning state office teachers are like prepping all the POs for all the furnitures and all this other kind of stuff. Like people are going out to have to make sure like things are delivered on time, and what's broken and what needs to go back, and hunting down missing inventory and like all this kind of things. And when you're a teacher, and when we are bringing on 11 new sites now, and when we're going to bring on 44 more in the future, it's just something that I feel like we should have a dedicated person to do. Additionally, if this 3+ contract is able to be expanded beyond DOE property, then how can we have somebody help to manage our facilities and things that are off campus, in addition to other types of facilities, things that we've been working on, like designing and yes, and selection and other things like that.
And what's the cost attached to this?
So that so the position for that position is, I think roughly is, I'm sorry, it's built in, but about 65,000. I think it's
Okay.
65,000. The program specialist for position.
Any questions about this proposal? All right, I think we're ready to move on.
Can I go back? Wait, one more thing about that. So, you know, I have to say, I'm very grateful for the partnership of the Department of Education. So their facilities department has been like exceptional. I think, especially with these 11 coming up so soon, that they really help prep all the purchase orders, met every single delivery, went and checked off everything. And then as the SFA built up their folks, they also came alongside. So they had the DOE and the SFA folks out there too. However, we know that EOEL is not the DOE's sole responsibility, and I feel like we should be able to have the capacity in our office to be able to manage what we're trying to implement programmatically.
Good.
Yes, Melody?
Can you give an example of what a state property would be other than a DOE campus?
So some state properties could potentially include, like, there are vacant spaces that are across campuses. It could include buildings that might be like in a state, like libraries, the Capitol, like, you know, like, I mean, like, there's lots of different, like, other government buildings. The state actually has a lot of different kinds of parcels on their inventory. And so a stadium, so there's a lot of different types of property that sit on state land. So that's what we're thinking about.
Okay, I think you can move on.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this is, again, we do wish to increase our FCIL programs. We've had exceptional feedback and interest in the two currently funded FCIL programs at Nanakuli Elementary School and also at Kailua Elementary School. And we have had folks ask or express their interest. So we are trying to we will open up, and we do have money to do so. So we would like to do that, and that's why this does not require a funding request, because we have money to do this. The other part is that EOEL has predominantly operated, well, has only operated English public pre-K schools, classrooms. And we know that there is a responsibility for both languages, and this is the first year that there is a Hawaiian language preschool that's been seed funded from Kamehameha Schools, and EOEL is a partner in that seed funding. And what we recognize is that we cannot just take something in English and then like swap out the words to be Hawaiian. We know that when you look at curriculum, instruction and assessment, and professional development and other pieces, they're not the same things, and you cannot just carbon copy one into the other. And so what we want to do is be very purposeful, because we know eventually we will be solely hosting, not in that type of a seed funded partnership, public pre-K options in Hawaiian language. And we want to be purposeful in the creation of that and the design of these spaces. And just as purposeful as we are in the English medium, we want to do the same for Hawaiian. And so that's why we want to convene partners to start to design this out.
Yeah, I have a question about what you just said. So, I do two languages, so I know you can cut and paste. It's just totally different language structure-wise, culture-based-wise. But how is the professional development in that area going on with it? Because they are trained in the UH to, let's say, for community college to be the early childhood educator. Are they also learning those Hawaiian medium way to go the early childhood education? I don't know. I didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how to go about it. But if you're going to teach young kids from the build up, just like the young kids are learning the language in the first time, then I think it may be a little bit different way to learn, or different curriculum to be added on for professional development.
Yeah, so the lead on Hawaiian medium educational pieces comes out of Kahaka'udo Ke'elipolani on Hawaii Island. So So the purposes also are a little bit different too. So the sole purpose of Hawaiian medium instruction is the revitalization of the language. And so it's not, it's a different purpose. And I think that therein lies how we try to develop the curriculum, the instructions, the assessments of what's happening, and the professional development that follows with it. English preschool has been around for like a very long time, lots of research from many different spaces and what have you. And so all of that is kind of, it's like very brain-based and, you know, those types of things. But when you're trying to revitalize a language, it's not the same. And so that's where we're trying to be very purposeful in the creation of that.
Right, there was a question like from Carrie about how much money for FCILs?
Are you talking total, Curie? It could be a total, it could be that and maybe a little more.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I think we can go to the next initiative.
Perfect. And then, of course, this is the continuous quality improvement system. So to convene a working group to develop this framework and implementation plan across the sector. So this is just we want to convene a group so we can really start to talk about the details of this type of a framework for Hawaii.
How does this differ from the QRIS? The quality rating system?
So I understand the quality. So I think that in terms of purpose, I think in terms of purpose, they're trying to both provide support and continue, you know, like continuous growth and of the educators. From what I understand, because I was not around at that time, I think that one of the aspects was the implementation of that did not go well. But I don't know, Jordana, is there anything else that's different?
I think the biggest obvious one is there's no rating system. So similar purpose in the sense of the goal is to enhance quality and to make sure that it's a continuous process, right? And then, of course, to touch base with providers where they're at. So the end goal could be accreditation or not, right? So depending on where providers and programs are at, the end goal is also to enhance outcomes for children ultimately. But a CQI does not necessarily have a rating scale embedded into it. So the CQI framework that was developed for us provides sort of that groundwork, and it does what was contracted out. It does provide some of that contextual history, including some of the feedback we got from the QRS. So the purpose of this working group, though, would be to make those determinations, right? So I don't think we're at a place yet where we can say exactly what is the same and different. But at least from our lens, I don't think the intention is we're going to start rating providers. It's really what support can we provide from a systems level across the different departments. So right now, DHS, UH, EOBL, and possibly Department of Health have agreed to participate in this working group.
I wanted to make sure it was clear that the rating system was not part of it, since that was a real challenge when the pilot was done. And a lot of that had to do around questions that I heard raised related to the consistency of assessment, particularly amongst those who were doing the assessing. And the challenge, I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. So thank you for that clarification. Are there any other questions regarding this initiative? I'm sorry?
Melody? Did Megan?
Megan? Oh, Megan, I'm sorry, did you?
No, it's okay. I did. I had a question, but I think it was just answered. So thank you.
Okay.
Melody has a.
I was just gonna say, that, I know, our home visiting network, which Erin Henderson could probably speak to, has a CQI system
Mhm.
that to constantly talk about quality improvement with the program. I'm not sure if we're, because doing it to better prepare and support our workforce is a little different to me, but I'm guessing it's pretty much like that type of system.
Yeah, and I actually asked Jeremy Hayer to be the person, if he can, to participate in this working group for that exact reason.
Any other comments or questions? All right, I don't see any additional ones. Did you want to add anything to the budget portion before we close this portion out?
No.
You're okay with this as is?
Yeah, is everyone clear on?
Yeah. Anyone have any questions about this?
I have one more, so continuous quality improvement. You are still deciding what to measure as a quality improvement.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, you are still thinking about what would be a fair and a good indicator.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Kevin.
Okay.
So summary with everything that we just spoke about and what exists now. And next.
Okay, so this slide was including the additional funding for the
Yes.
the two initial
Yes.
items, yeah, okay. I don't see any more questions or comments in the chat, so thank you for
Okay.
walking us through that. That was really helpful. Did you have additional
I
updates?
did.
to- Okay,
Next slide. Okay, so in terms of special needs and early intervention, we wanted to share, next slide, that the Department of Health Early Intervention section is going to be hosting these early intervention partner topic meetings. And so you can see the dates listed here, but I am going to give you a link. And then next slide, please. And so you can take a look at it. So when you have the link, next slide, you can click on or not click, sorry, enter this link and it'll take you to the document where there will be live links so that you can register for these early intervention partner topic meetings. And so that if it is connecting to your work, those who you serve or what have you, please feel free to join on. Next slide, please. And then next slide. So in terms of early learning, oh, what happened to me? Sorry. Let me see. Sorry, something is missing. That's okay. I'll just talk about it. You can. Okay, anyway. So in terms of early learning, we were able to open up our new EOEL classrooms. Let me see if I can fill out the information really, really quickly. We have. So we have 11 new schools that just opened this fall. 7 of the 11 classrooms are full and we are starting waitlist on those. So now we have a total of 48 classrooms. So Kevin, you can refresh now. It should pop up. So we have a total of 48 classrooms that it's up. God. Yeah, try and click out and then come back in. Like stop the presentation and then come back in. Okay. 36 class, so 48 total classrooms statewide. 36 of them are full and 12 of them, the remaining 12 are all at 50% or more capacity. We wanted to share again that applications are accepted throughout the school year and we are currently working on an online application. So we've met with a potential person who can help us to develop that. And so we're working on it. And just so I can share about this little logo here. So this is actually like a little cute logo. So Lane was able to help to created, and if you click on the QR code, it's gonna take you straight to the application, but what I think is important about this logo is that, what I've noticed is that people think that EOEL is like one thing, that EOEL equals public pre-K, but EOEL is more than just public pre-K. And so I think that when we see the Nene Goose, then that can be EOEL, the whole system. And when we see this, then we're talking about one portion of what EOEL does. And so I just wanted to share that. So you might see this little chick with anything that's associated with our preschool for right now. Okay, next slide, please. So other system updates, next slide. So just going over PDGB 5. So originally we had thought maybe we could do like a quarterly update, but I think it seems like people want to know a little bit more frequently what's happening with PDGB 5. So we may not always have some sort of substantial update for each of the activities as we're moving through them, but we wanted to share those that are here. And so one of the things that I said is that I don't want to talk about things that are in progress. I only want to talk about things that have been decided or are moving. So we did post an RFQ for our website, and work has begun for Embracing Your Journey workshops and parent leadership training. And for the workforce, UH College of Ed, you can read it right here. They're working towards the development of the compensation implementation plan. They're aligning the professional prep programs with the power to the profession, the unifying framework, and the competencies. UH is also the UH system is also increasing pathways to early childhood education degrees and establishing an early educator apprenticeship program. Okay, next slide. Then for program quality improvement, College of Ed is again working with HCYC on foundational documents for the continued quality improvement and technical assistance. So aligning the core knowledge competencies, any YC professional standards, competence. So just trying to align everything because we don't want to be out of alignment, and we think that everything can fold in nicely. And so in the process of drafting a career framework, and of course the unifying framework for early childhood educator, they have this level 1, 2, and 3, and trying to create that consistency and drafting a coaching framework. And also the training, the trainer application and training handbook. And so the other thing is that Hawaii P20 is currently recruiting a pool of class certified observers to get that threshold. And I'll have a slide after this if you're interested in joining that. And then for the program performance and evaluation, UH Manoa College of Education Center on Disability Studies has been contracted to be the external evaluator of the PDGB 5 grants. And next slide, Kevin. So this is what I was speaking about. I hope you're able to see it, but we are currently looking for individuals to get that class certification to assist with that threshold. So you can see if you can get enrolled, pass it, you have to commit. There may be neighbor island travel required. There's a stipend. And on the very bottom of the page, I don't know what's cut out, but you can contact Kim Gibb. And if you need help or you can't see those email addresses on the bottom, then I can get that here. Okay, next slide. And this is our new communication specialist. Her name is Tara Castrovinci. And so she's currently not living in Hawaii, but she has lived in Hawaii and she goes back and forth between Hawaii and the continent. And so she's going to be joining us on October 23rd. She has a bachelor's in communications, a minor in psychology, and a master's in counseling, marriage, and family therapy. So she's got a solid background in communications, and she's actually been using it to apply in real estate. So she's been doing real estate, but utilizing her communication. So she's familiar and has done communication plans, has been looking at legal updates, of course, in her realm. She's done marketing, photography, website hosting, social media, And I told her that she can say hello in real life when she gets to Hawaii, but she offered me something that I can share with you on the bottom. And she says, I'm very excited to start this position and be back in Hawaii. I hope to take my experience in PR and marketing, as well as my experience working with children and diverse populations in my master's program to further the early learning program. And so we're very excited to welcome Tara to our team. And next slide. And then you can stop sharing.
All right, any comments or questions for Yuko about the updates? Congratulations on moving forward with the communications
Yes.
position. I'm sure Jordana is thrilled.
Yes.
At this point,
Yes.
to have that filled. All right, if there are no more comments or questions for Yuko, with regard to her report, we can move to item number 5, which is we have one subcommittee report. This is the Workforce Equity Subcommittee, and Justina originally was going to give it, but she discovered that she had a conflict and couldn't be with us today. She's actually on an airplane. And Melody agreed to step in for her. So Melody, I'm going to ask you if you would share.
Carrie said she had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie.
No worries. Yuko, I just had a question on those system updates that you provide on those slides. I'm wondering how we might do a better job of capturing all of the different work that's happening across the system that may not be directly organized by UEL, but is happening within the system. So for example, some of the workforce efforts that are happening within early intervention and using the WICHE study to bring to the legislature this next session, or the CSPD work for children with special needs, and I'm sure there are a ton of other components that would probably be really helpful for the board to hear about, how we might include that information moving forward.
So thank you for that. So before each board meeting, we do have something that goes out to our office for everybody in our office to offer updates. And then this is how we kind of bring this forward, but I can have a conversation with you on how to include those types of things.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Well, we can move on to Melody and the workforce equity sharing for today. Mel?
Thanks, Bob. Aloha, everyone. It's kind of short and sweet, but the subcommittee, Workforce Development Subcommittee for the Early Learning Board, is working on finalizing a memo to the new composition of the board, recommending early childhood workforce priority areas and outlining some of the key initiatives and strategies underway, if there's any. The second item is we will follow the format of the Early Learning Board approved 2023 policy framework priorities as a subcommittee. And then the third item is we are also ensuring that any past meeting notes and relevant reading and resources we will share in a Google folder to the new board that's coming up. So that's kind of our plan as the Workforce Development Subcommittee as the Early Learning Board transitions to another board.
And just to, Mel, if I may add just a couple of things to remind people of the priorities that we had set last year around building state plan building block 4, which is the workforce. The first item was to build workforce capacity. It included things like apprenticeships, ongoing PD, career pathways. The second was to support retention and recruitment. Issues like tuition stipends, improving compensation and working conditions, the kind of work that task force is doing through UH. Improving compensation, which included looking at wage supplement possible programs, And then the last item, which is one that we did talk more about too, is to continue to provide unique consideration and support to ensure retention and recruitment for Hawaiian medium language providers. So those were the 4 areas that the subcommittee is thinking of highlighting as priorities. They would suggest the new board continue to focus on. But just a bit of an elaboration on Mel's. Mel, is that okay? Anything that you wanted to add or, okay, all right. Anyone have any questions for Mel or that I can answer related to those items? Clearly, the new board does not have to choose those as priorities, but we are certainly hoping they will put them on their radar as a key piece of the work that still needs to move forward and build on what's already been done. That's the objective of the report. Any additional comment for now? None? Is there anything in the chat? I don't see anything. No. All right, let's move to item. Thank you, Mel. Let's move to item number 6, which is a leadership update on the board transition. Thanks to the work of Matt and the governance standing subcommittee, the questionnaire information sheets have been sent out to the conveners of the subcommittees to gather the information that the committee has suggested be reviewed to come back to the board with setting priorities that we might share with the new board as a full board, and also the kind of information to be collected to provide resources for the upcoming board transition. Matt, is there anything you want to add in particular about that questionnaire, or is that description sufficient?
No, that sounds good. I've received some information and information on the Google Drive. So thanks everybody who's submitted those. And if you need to go in and change or add other things as we move forward, feel free. Thanks.
And remember, our goal is to provide the new board with as much information it can build on as possible, and also offer it some context and historical background to understand where things are at and how we got to the place we currently occupy as a board. The other item that I've been getting questions about and obviously interested in is the process for selection of the new board. The information I've been able to gather is that applications are being accepted. Members, if you are interested in applying, should do so sooner rather than later. Or if you have people you would like to suggest and urge they apply, to please be sure to do that. It would probably be helpful to alert the governor's office about the fact that these recommendations have been made on your part. And if you are a current board member, certainly to let them know of your continued interest. I was hoping to be able to provide you with a time frame at this meeting, and I don't actually have one. I'm not sure that the governor's office has one yet, and certainly the situation in Maui is going to be taking priority, I am sure, at this point. So my suggestion is that we continue to function as we have been, with board meetings, continuing to prepare for a transition, but continuing to serve as the de facto board we currently are functioning as, in order to allow EOEL to continue its work, and particularly to get ready for the next legislative session. Now, if there are any questions, and I've received some inquiries about who is selecting, how is the selecting being done, who is doing the vetting, and the answer is I don't know. And I am assuming that it's within the governor's office. I don't know of any particular structural organization that's been put in place to do the vetting, or any special groups who have been invited to give input. But that, in general, the process is the office is accepting interested applicants who qualify for the position to review. That's about as much as I can share with everyone. Anyone have any questions or additional comments regarding the transition phasing? All right, seeing nothing in the chat, we'll move forward to another opportunity for any public comment that anyone would like to make related to any of the agenda items. I'm going to say that if someone had information regarding Maui that they wish to share, that this certainly would be a time to do that from the public sector, that they feel the board could benefit from knowing.
I'm on, Bob. I can share little. I know that there will be a press conference coming up at about 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30. That is combined with both the governor and the mayor. I know that one of the challenges that we are having is that information is sparse. I do know that with what we are getting, we should be prepared to anticipate that the destruction and damage is going to be elevated immensely. We are still operating under 3 active fires with no indication of what containment means. When I'm looking just the Kaina's opinion on this one, not the official response, Lahaina has been minimized, but is still considered active, and there is still threat mostly to land. There have been no new evacuations. Upcountry is a bit of a hit or miss because there are still, the way that the winds are blowing and circulating, there is still probably risk to more structures or houses being destroyed. But they have done a better job in the evacuation of it. In Lahaina, that is a community that has been completely devastated. So the numbers and the loss there, we will find out soon. There is a lot of community support pouring in. Some of the challenges are organizing and communicating what the needs are, or organizing the distribution and how to get it out there. We still have families that are stranded in Lahaina. They're getting those who need to get into, who have lost their homes, into the evacuation centers or with friends and family on this the other side. But there are those that are in Lahaina that they did not lose their home, but they have things like food and water needs, or basic essential needs. And for those, what the challenge is how do we can get it there, and then how do we coordinate the ground to those. There is a list, it's a community list, so this is another unofficial but maybe helpful for those, because one of the common questions that is being out there is, who and where are my loved ones, and how do I find out who's found and not found? So there is a community list. I can see if I can get it into the chat, but again, it's unofficial. It's by some random community member. But what is happening is the people within the community are putting the names on the list, and then they're indicated if they're found or still need to be located. So it's, again, not official. It's not what the county is putting out. However, for the community and for those who are wondering, it's been a helpful source to try and get that piece of information. Again, I have to say that's not official, but it's just been helpful for people who are wondering. We did have a loss. We will have a loss to a number of family childcare homes, preschools, and the infant toddler centers. I don't think I'm far off by saying we can anticipate that if it were one of those things and located in the Lahaina area, we can probably anticipate that it will no longer be there when they go through the destruction.
I'm putting together my own resources to figure out what we can help with once the search and recovery efforts are kind of declared done, and then we move into response. I think that's where most of the help will be needed and come in. How we identify where the families that are staying with families and friends can pick up items that are being donated and distributed if they're not necessarily in an evacuation center. Carrie has a question.
Yeah, Kaina, you and I have been texting, but what do we do when we get, we're getting a lot of reach out from different programs that like pop-up programs, early childhood programs that they do in other areas that have had devastation. And they're asking for philanthropic money to stand these up, right? And so we just keep saying it's too early. There's more, like we have like 4 or 5 different entities that have reached out. And is all of the coordination of these types of decisions being through the county?
So as of right now, the official response would be yes, the county is being put as responsible for that. But I need to put that with a little bit of a clause, because the communication between and the actual of the communication, it's not happening. So that's hard to say, yes, they are, and yet we don't know how do we validate it? Where do we have the research? Do we have the capacity and resources to look into if these are valid pop-ups, especially since they are asking for monies? We don't know what the needs are. So right now, those kind of yeses are premature. And at the same time, I don't want to say it's a no, because it may be something that is the need that we come up with for the community in our response to this. Yes, there are many families that are in the evacuation shelters. I don't have a specific count.
And so would you prefer that I just forward you those requests? Same thing for like Department of Ed reached out and said, it was Lisa Martinez, who actually is probably on this call. They can provide a lot of help as well, but that really should be going through somebody on Maui.
So if I can, what I'll do is I'll put together something where I collect what those resources are and who those contacts are, so that I can, reach out and yes, I know with Lisa, and one of those suggested partners is the DOE and the homeless coordinators. And so there is a lot coming our way. So if I can just put together a document for me that I'm going to keep, where I can not dump those, but I can put those into, so that I can refer to when I know that there's a need, or when I have the opportunity to present the resources that we have in order to organize and collaborate. And then I will do the reach out to different partners to say, hey, I need help to take the lead or to support whatever the efforts are. It can be something as simple as the diaper and the formula drive, but then we may find that that's well taken care of by those just that are totally doing the outreach, and we might need to figure out how to place or support ours who are without job, that were in the early childhood field, that have lost their job and their home and everything else, and what other resources. So if I can just collect names and resources to do that, and I may also say, hey, I need help validating this. So to me, that would be most helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll forward you. I'll do my best to validate and forward you.
Okay.
Things that make sense.
Okay. Seeing all wants to help donations, longer term withstanding new programs in the area.
I don't know
Okay.
if it's in the chat. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I'm trying to get through the chat and then respond. So, and then in the response to, so there's 2 different perspectives happening with how do we collect and use the donations that are happening on neighbor islands. Again, that's going to be for us to coordinate within, as we move to the response section of things. So as soon as we know, we will be sure to, again, like put Megan's name on, put the Seagull Schools on, so that we know how we can do the reach out. And then the other thing with that is also I think that sometimes in the immediate, some of the monetary to reliable and valid sources might be helpful so that we can purchase the resources within the Maui community. And then when those run out, we now have the second layer, which is getting those resources from the neighbor island communities into us and distributed, coordinated. And then Adele has her hand up as well.
Okay. Adele, go ahead.
Thank you so much. And Kaina, thank you for sharing those. So the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association met this morning, and so for cash donations, and before I say that, I was not gonna turn on my camera because I'm still having a hard time. Our Early Head Start Child Development Center is one of the centers that burnt down yesterday, so it's still hard for me. And this was my baby. I was the Early Head Start director when we built that. So I'm gonna put in the chat. I think the best place to donate funds right now is the Hawaii Community Foundation, Maui Strong website, as well as the Maui United Way Disaster Relief. They are all working with the mayor's office. And for goods donation, I will also put in the chat today. There's donations are being accepted at the War Memorial Complex from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. today. Yes, there's a lot of just a lot of people wishing us well, a lot of people reaching out to us. So I just want to say thank you for thinking of us. We really need it.
And just one of the things to follow up with Adele, I think our community as a whole, I mean, I think each of us have gone through the, you get the sad, you get the frustrated and the mad, I even got the frozen. I'm like, my brain's just stuck right at the moment. And I think that the community as a whole are going to need that kind of support as well. We don't know what we don't know just yet. And when we do find it out, there's going to be many layers of how we each process it and how we support each other and process it. So I am thankful because we have had much outreach for support. And sometimes we do find that we're sitting there kind of just waiting for that call, but are prepared when that call comes in. So I much appreciation to the state and the state partners for the support and comments that are coming in. I don't know, are there any other questions or?
I think, well, thank you, first of all, to the both of you for being who you are and doing the work that you're doing. I'm sure you are the stalwart backbones at the moment that are helping others, and want you to know that we are sending our care and love to the two of you as you help those in your community as well. We're all eager to help, and that may be problematic more than it is helpful at the moment. And because until you unfurl the complexities and know the results, it's really hard to know what kind of help is actually needed. The Maui Strong is a very clear one. I understand the Maui Food Bank is also another one that is seeking definite support. But know that we're here. And I think probably what is most important for us to think about, this is me talking personally, is that this is a long-term help. It's not a short-term help. And that our eagerness now, we need to keep in our hearts and follow along as the community figures out what its needs actually are and how people can be most supportive. But we also want to let you know that we're here. So as time goes on, don't stop calling on us for things that we may not be able to do, but maybe we know someone who can. Our work now, I think, is to be as supportive as we can be in as many ways as we can be. Justina had asked if we would share in the member updates the links that the Hawaii Community Foundation is providing. So I'm wondering if, Kevin, if you can share the screen with that information, in case some of you don't have it. Civil Beat, by the way, has a lot of information if you're looking for sources I know that Carrie and ECAS have sent out a great deal of information as well. But the Community Foundation has raised, as Adele was saying, about $1 million already, is continuing to raise money. And I don't know, can that be made a little bit larger?
Bob, also
Good
just
job.
to side comment while you're putting that up, earlier we went on the Hawaii Community Foundation site and it kept like swirling and swirling. Just be mindful that sometimes when those links go out on the newscasts and people are like so urgently responding, it backlogs it. So tell people, okay, hang on, just put it on pause and maybe come back to us in about an hour. Because right after those newscasts or broadcasts, you know, people are like, okay, I can help with this. And it just clogs the system. It didn't break it, but it just clogs it just a little bit. So say, just hang on for a little bit, and then maybe in an hour, that traffic will slow a little bit to help our systems.
Thank you. Right, there's the Community Foundation information if people wish to grab it while it's there. The Maui Strong is not a new effort. This is building on an effort that has existed before, but very expansive in terms of response at this particular time. So if you're looking for a place to be supportive, this is certainly one you might consider. Are there any other comments regarding the Maui situation at this point?
Could I ask Kaina a question?
Sure.
Kaina, do you want me to share it off some of the things we talked about from the JIC?
That is helpful, and that is also something that I'm gonna ask, like I'm gonna specifically call upon a few people that I know are sharing things out to add to my collective document, or I'll do it as a Google share, for not so that it's overwhelming completely public, but so that I know like what is being sent out and to who, and then I can make the request of others to send out if I know we're not having the right reach or the big enough reach, and or if it should be something that, you know, it can get to others. So it's helpful to share with this group because I think this is a key group to get that out, and there are key people here. And on an ongoing basis, I would ask that we connect individually so that I can give you the link to help me track it.
Yeah, okay, so we started a JIC. So a JIC is a Joint Information Center. So all of the PIOs, the public information officers across the state, are taking shifts. They're about 12-hour shifts. So we're rotating every day. We anticipate that this will last into the weekend for now. So the point of a JIC is really to help with the comms, planning, and coordination as it relates to emergency crisis and management. Right now, we are still very much in the mitigation containment phase, right? So government in the county and the state are super focused on containment of the fire and addressing the immediate emergency needs. We're not yet in recovery phase. Those are part of the conversations. And we're having conversations leading up to. So last night at our JIC, myself and Tony with DAGS and Adam with HIEMA, we're working on really trying to address misinformation that's coming out, and then to look at donation sites, because there are a lot of scams out there as well. So we do want to make sure that folks are being careful with where they're putting their money. There have already been some cases of donations popping up that are not verified or seem a little bit sketchy. So the state is funneling to HCF, which Kevin had showed earlier. But one of the things we had worked on last night was to kind of verify donation sites. I know that the JIC folks today are working on that. So they are working on messaging to put out on donations specifically. Another thing with donations, you know, a lot of folks are doing donation drives for supplies. One of the things we do want to be cautious of, though, is that, you know, Maui has supplies on island. There are stores, there are places and people that have supplies, and Maui's economy is going to take a big hit, right? It's taking a big hit because of the loss, but we also anticipate there will be a loss of tourism in the future too because of the fires. So what we really want to focus on is buying supplies on Maui to support the economy, right? So not to oversaturate with things that we can actually get on island. Today, the focus has also been trying to set up distribution centers. So the bigger issue is more so getting the materials needed to the people on island. So if you have direct connections on Maui that have agreed to receive supplies and disseminate the supplies, or if you want to ask a donation setup, if they have that, that's what we're really looking for, right? So we want to make sure that folks that are gathering supplies actually have connections directly on Maui to be able to receive and distribute the supplies. So right now, monetary donations are best because that monetary donations can be used to help support the economy on Maui directly, and to purchase those supplies that may already exist on their island. Messaging on that is also being crafted. So I will be sure to let Chair Peters know and Kaina. So Kaina and I have been having conversations every day. And those are things that we're sort of working on as well. So I just wanted to provide that update. I know everybody wants to help. Right now, the focus is really containment still and damage assessment, which also includes pollution prevention. So there is a lot of really high priority things that the government is really focusing on in these next few days that have to be taken care of. So if you do want to provide donations, monetary donations are always best. But as soon as we get the messaging finalized, I will be sure to send that out.
All right, Erin and Iolani. Erin first.
Hi, first, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for holding space for what's happening. I also wanted to thank Yuko for forwarding along to me an email request for mental health providers to kind of galvanize together. So just so you guys know, on the mental health side, there has been a gathering of mental health clinicians across the state. There is actually going to be some mental health efforts being done at the Waikiki Convention Center so that the evacuees who are on Oahu are able to receive first aid, psychological first aid, excuse me. I'd like to also just kind of remind us that our babies are all experiencing this along with the adults, and that we are going to be seeing a lot of mental health fallout as a result of this, not necessarily only for those who are directly in Lahaina, but also the children in other parts of the island who could see the smoke and the fire, or who have family members who they can't find anymore. So I just wanted to highlight that I hope that we can keep our children in mind also in all of these supports. Aim High is trying to gather some mental health supports for young children, and we'll be sending out as we can find them. But I just wanted to really thank everyone for what they're doing from where they are, and then to hopefully, keep in mind that what we do, if we can also keep our little ones and their mental health and the questions they have and explaining to them in ways that make sense. We're seeing lots of, this is really an opportunity for us to create resiliency at a young age. So hopefully we can mitigate the damage as much as possible. But it is here. It's one of those traumas that we can't prevent, right? So it's a collective event that we're experiencing. So that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Iolani?
Aloha kako. I'll be really quick. I actually have to jump off right after I say something, but I did want to jump in. Like many other sites that are in Lahaina, the Punana Leo o Lahaina was impacted severely, and it's been pretty devastating. We've done our best to get in touch with all of our staff, and we're trying to work through this on in a very focused way with our staff and our families first, trying to get in touch with them and identify exactly what their needs are, their personal needs, making sure that they're safe, that they have somewhere to stay, and just, making sure somebody's seen them after everything that's gone on. So it has been very difficult time for our employees. But we are organizing as best we can. There's been a lot of support. Reach out to our community to see ways that they can support. And so we did set up a fund on our website that will go specifically to Punanaleo o Lahaina, to the needs that we don't know what they will be at this time. But we figured that at least we can start to build some kind of fund that will support whatever that might be. So that is on our website. In addition to that, we did kind of mobilize our other sites throughout the state to do a gift card drive specifically for families that were enrolled with us, again, that we have direct contact with, that we can get to these individual families through our other sites on Maui. So I just want to kind of second what the ideas were about gift cards, cash donations that can get to the people, and making sure that there is a way that it's going to get to people in need versus creating or adding to the chaos that is already there. So mahalo nui to everybody who's reached out. I had several people check in with us and I really appreciate it. So mahalo.
Thank you. I don't see any other comments in the chat at the moment. So I'm going to move forward on the agenda. Are there any additional member updates?
I have one, Bob.
Okay.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who has been sharing. Keikiokaina also has been affected over there. So thank you for sharing. But at the end of this month, the Hele Pico conference is happening on August 31st. And the theme of the conference is He Lave I Kama'alea Ku Ono Ono. Take wisdom and make it deep. It is a journey understanding our heritage, roots, and ancestry. Not necessarily only our Hawaiian ancestry and culture, but just indigenous culture in general and how it can become a tool for us to understand and carve out and embrace what happens in our future. So if I can put the link to the flyer in the chat, Bob, is that okay?
Sure.
And there's a QR code on that for registering. There is really no deadline date, but we are almost to 300 participants. Lunch and breakfast are provided, and it is a free conference, so it's filling up fast. So thank you to all of you who are already registered, but just wanted to make one last announcement about it. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mel. Matt, you had something you wanted to add?
Hi, Bob. Thanks. I would like to introduce Todd Wilson. He is from our Disease Outbreak and Control Division. He is our school liaison, and he's going to provide a brief update on the outbreak reporting tool. Go ahead, Todd.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you holding the space. My daughter's Pico is actually on Maui and Haiku, and so grateful to be part of that community over the years. And it's really a heavy, just an undescribable time in Hawaii. So thanks for holding this space. We've made some updates to a reporting tool that was used through COVID, and I put a link into chat that should provide all of the information. And this is mainly for learning centers across the state. So anyone on the in the meeting today that has a connection with the learning centers and feeds out into the directors of those centers, it's a really helpful tool. It's for reporting COVID, but also influenza-like illness as well as gastrointestinal illness. So all of the reportable illnesses can be reported through the tool. It does require an account. A lot of the early childhood centers and learning centers for pre-K centers across the state had some of the directors had accounts last year, so those accounts have been transferred. And then there's a link on the Google Doc to actually set up a new account. And yeah, there's also a email where I'm glad to help anybody who needs assistance throughout the process, either setting up an account or just facilitating with their needs. So thanks, Matt, for dropping me in today, and I'm happy to be a resource for directors across the state as people move forward and move out of COVID and back into another flu season in a couple of months.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
Any other updates from the members? Seeing none, let's round out the meeting with the outcomes. Basically, today we've received the EOEL legislative proposals, 2 of them. One, the development of a navigation system, the other, the expansion of pre-plus early learning facilities beyond the DOE campus, and expansion of enrollment, along with 1 FTE to help develop that particular relationship or the expansion. Also 2 initiatives, both related to the convening role of the EOEL, one related to the development of the Hawaii Medium program within the EOEL, the other a working group around continuous quality improvement efforts. We will be asked to vote at the next meeting on those particular items. I think the comments and information about Maui are hard to consolidate into an outcome. The outcome is yet to come. We don't know what the future holds, but I hear you all saying we're standing ready to be of support in whatever way we can, and however we can be most useful without adding to the anxiety and stress that already exists. Certainly, Adele and Kaina, since you're dealing with it every day in some very significant ways, know that we're here to be supportive of you, and we hope you will take the time to take care of yourselves as the caregivers to others as well. Jordana, thank you for your role in all of this, and Yuko for opening up the opportunities for the office as well. Much appreciated. Carrie, do you have some good words to leave us with at this meeting?
Sure. So the quote is from Steve Mirabile from the book Life, the Truth, and Being Free. And the quote is, "Life doesn't get any easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient."
Thank you.
Welcome.
Take care, everyone, and our thoughts go out to Maui as we end this meeting, and all the children and families who have been impacted. We're looking at both big kids and little kids here in the work that lies ahead. Take care. Aloha.